Hi, this is Shu with a review of the New Balance Fresh Foam BB V2. What a stupid, dumbass name that is, right? So many initials, so many alphabets. BBV2, FFBBV2. Give me a break. They even needed to write like a whole page of words. The intelligent choice. Is this like a page excerpt from a magazine ad? What the hell were they thinking? The design, I think it's just, yeah, buttocks. Yeah, its design is pretty ass. Yeah, ugly. They tried to do a little bit better, but I don't think this is much of an improvement from the first Fresh Foam basketball shoe. Yeah, these are ugly. In my opinion, these are one of the ugliest shoes out there. It's very New Balance, very Steve Jobs. For a size 9, it weighs about close to 400 grams, so it's not the lightest shoe out there. It's got a substantial midsole, very heavily cushioned midsole, so probably that's where all the weight is coming from. But the upper material is a little stiff and thick, so I'm guessing this is also contributing to the heftiness of the shoe. It fits pretty much true to size. Um, doesn't run long. It's kind of roomy. If you have a very narrow foot and you like a tight fit, then you might want to go down half a size. The thing is, wider fit is good, but if you have these crazy dead space on top of your toe in the toe box area, to me that's a deal breaker. And this has that space, that dead space, and you only can lace the shoe up until like midpoint of the tongue. So yeah, unless you're gonna poke some extra lace loop holes here and tighten it better, you're not gonna get a lot of great containment and knockdown for this shoe, unless you have a very Shrek-like foot that's like really high, thick, vertically thick, not wide. Let's talk about the good thing about the shoe. The cushioning, the fresh foam, it's the best, softest, it's the softest, fluffiest New Balance basketball cushioning to date. The previous New Balance training shoes, like baseball training shoes and things like that, had fresh foam that was okay, and this is actually beefier than that. The previous fresh foam model felt like they had a droplet of fresh foam in the heel and nothing on the forefoot, but this actually feels like there's a good coating, overall coating of it. Yeah, compared to shoes like Omnis or the other Kawais or other shoes that use fuel cell, this is definitely, fresh foam is definitely a more plusher, better choice than fuel cell. Fuel cell, it's just rigid. It's a very rigid shoe. It feels like the kind of shoes that guys who don't like cushioning, like Steph Curry's, would prefer. Again, cushioning is great, but it can also be negative for those who like something more responsive and lower to the ground. This is pretty relatively higher off the ground and plush all around. The thing is, like, even though there's a seemingly good heel to toe drop, it's not much. It almost feels like it's just straight, flat. Um, so yeah, I wish there was a bit more of a heel to toe drop, just a little bit. It's not crazy, but just a little bit more, because overall the foam is so soft that on the heel, what most of your body weight is on, it compresses a lot more than the forefoot. The good thing is that the forefoot cushioning is also very beefy, so you can feel this cushioning softness all around. So these feel like the Hokas or the first generation Lunarlon type of cushioning. So if you like the plush softness, go for it. But if you need responsiveness, lower to the ground, something that keeps you nimble, and if you wear shoes that are too soft for basketball, you feel some parts of your body aching, this is definitely not the shoe for you. I feel like this is more for a big man. Good, beefy, comfy shock absorption. And yeah, there's no heel, there's minimal, if not no heel slippage, at least the way the heel clutches my foot. So it was pretty good. Good padding all around, nothing irritating. But overall, it's not very well ventilated. Not the most breathable shoe out there. So good shoes to wear if you're playing in facilities that you feel it's a bit too overly air conditioned, or if you're playing outdoors in winter, this is a decent choice. The outsole pattern, it feels like reminiscent of some of the Kobe 9s or the Zoom Flight 5s or the retros of the Zoom Flight 5s or Zoom Up Tempo. So this is always a nice little track and field shoe inspired traction. These circles are a lot bigger than compared to the fresh foam ones, but if you try the two-way version 3's, was it? It has a pretty much similar traction, and if you remember that traction, this is pretty much identical. One thing about this traction is that overall it's very squeaky, so if you're the kind of people who crave squeakiness, this is definitely the shoe for you. But although overall, if you are landing flat and just moving around flat, there's good traction. But as you can tell, these are like straight lines in certain parts. So depending on where you're moving, if you're kind of making contact with these parts first and trying to get some great traction, you're gonna feel a little bit of a sliding, a little bit of a slippage. Not huge, but you can clearly see the visible difference between flat and a slight edge contact with the floor. So if you're a shifty player, this is not a great traction for you. You might feel a little bit at risk. And it doesn't have a prominent outrigger, but it does have a wide base and a very beefy midsole. So if you feel like you're gonna injure your ankle, it's got good shock absorption. I mean, speed bump to make sure if you're gonna sprain your ankle a little bit, you might feel the cushioning kind of providing that a little bit of a support. But I wished it would have been bigger or had a more prominent outrigger. So that's slightly problematic for me. Not a deal breaker, but wish it could have been better. And yeah, it's got a very prominent plate from the midfoot extending quite a bit to the forefoot and the heel. So this provides good torsion, good anti-warping. Yeah, overall, the midsole, it's just ordinary ortholite insole, nothing special. But even without the ortholite insole, you can actually feel the fresh foam really offering you the kind of plushness. Again, think about soft running shoes that you used to like the Hokas or the early generation, the first generation Lunarlons. That's how it feels, a beefier version of that. But I would say this is more for people who bumps around, just post up, or just lands on their feet, or just takes off vertically. Not for shifty players, I would say. Design, oh my god, this design is so shitty. I could design a better shoe with my eyes closed. Sorry, that's just how I feel. It's just ugly, and it's way overpriced. I don't know why they keep overcharging you for this minimal kind of shoe. If you put in a lot of money for the research, that's great, but that's not what the customer sees in this. This is not a shoe that should cost more than $100, especially if you're making huge disappointments and losers like Zach Levine is only good for a few dunk contests and nothing else.